Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, December 23rd. Merry Christmas to all of those around the world who celebrate, as well as a happy Hanukkah and happy Kwanzaa and happy Festivus, depending on what you celebrate, and any other holiday or religion that you may be celebrating this month or this week. We have had quite an exciting week behind us. We had PCE this morning that led to the volatility that you may have noticed this morning, quite the ups and the downs in a relatively tight range compared to some of the action that we saw yesterday and previously. So PCE mainly came in, about even. This is previous month, this is predicted, and this is actual. So month over month, more or less muted, the same. But, technically we are, a bit higher in terms of where we expected to be. So previous month was 5%. This month was 4.7% for core, and it was predicted at 4.6. So technically inflation coming down, as it pertains to the consumer, at least, and but the expectations were a bit higher than we wanted, and that's likely why we saw such varying volatility. So digging into sentiment, we're still more or less where we were yesterday. Not much of a change. We did have that random spike yesterday, and we'll dig into that. That was pretty much a massive, massive short squeeze. We'll look into all of the trappings around that, but tweet volume down and trading volume down heading into Christmas. Same for ETH, tweet volume down, trading volume down, still neutral sentiment, despite that boost that we had yesterday. So looking at DXY, we're still, that's why we always wait for confirmation for those things. I definitely got a little bit excited yesterday with it looking like it was going to confirm a break. We are still technically, at where you would confirm a break. It's retesting the trend. RSI is still above the trend, but if RSI starts creeping back lower, I would say beneath that 38.6 level, basically exactly where it's at right now, then things could definitely get more difficult for DXY to continue higher. It definitely looks like it's getting stalled right now, and this daily high has been, or this previous daily close has been around the same area for the past several days that we've been looking at it. So not, what's the word that I'm looking for? DXY is not guaranteed to go higher, and we although we have kind of two systems that say it should head higher, doesn't mean that it's going to listen to those systems, and it could completely go the opposite direction. So moral of the story is we're still monitoring DXY. We have a few signs for potential increased bearishness, but of course 103, breaking under 103.5 is confirmed very bearish, and breaking above 105 is still confirmed very bullish for DXY. And of course, risk is inverse the dollar index. So looking at equities, just kind of zooming out to give you a little bit of perspective and just kind of how ugly this trading is. If we zoom into the 15 minutes, we can see exactly what happened this morning. So 5:30 a.m. my time, which is 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, PCE results dropped. Clearly, we had giant volatility in that immediate 15 minutes. Dropped lower, closed higher. After that close, immediately dropped lower. So we tagged the high end of the recent range as well as the low end of the range, all within a single hour of PCE being announced. And now we are back towards the high, around where we were at previous pre-PCE opening. So interestingly enough, and of course, I did warn everybody about PCE and the fact that we may see some volatility, and the volatility that I mentioned in the Trade the Chain community was potentially higher than lower, depending on the reaction. PCE is not entirely impactful for broader inflation. It's clearly, it will bring volatility for a few hours, but it's not really make or break in terms of the macro. It's just a really good event to trade if you have your data correct, or your ranges to trade off of, which clearly shorting support and longing, or I mean, shorting resistance and longing support would have been your friend this morning. So PCE is not entirely important for the macro, although, you know, every inflation sign that comes out is significant compounded. PCE will likely continue to be a you know, multi-hour volatility event unless it's in an extreme miss or an extreme beat moving forward. So next time we look out for PCE, just know that, you know, likely not going to be, you know, week on week impacting, maybe not even day on day impacting. It's more of an hour by hour type of impact. So looking at equities, you know, we have our resistance at 3840. We have our support at 3800. You know, both of those were confirmed again this morning. So the moral of the story is, you know, break above 3840 bullish, break below 3800 bearish, or we ping pong around in this area with key level being, you know, previous daily close at 3820. So if this stalls, you know, we're probably headed to tag this again. If that holds, then we're headed higher. And then if this stalls, we're headed lower. And of course, if this breaks, we're headed lower. And, you know, now you can kind of see where trading may occur depending on what happens. And of course, this is going to close up shop. And we're at 9 and it closes down at around you know, 3 p.m. or 2 or 3 p.m. my time, so 6 p.m. Eastern. So got about 6, you know, more hours left in the trading day. And then we will, of course, be closed on equities until Tuesday because US markets are closed on Monday. I believe EU markets are closed as well. So no equities trading until Tuesday, but we will have futures trading on Sunday, I believe. They should open up for Christmas. They may be on a delay, but right now chart says they open up on Christmas. So we'll have to see how that happens. But depending on if we get, you know, I think if we close above the previous daily high for equities, that'll, you know, definitely be probably a good sign for crypto and risk. And if we close below the previous daily close, which is of course this dotted white line right around 3820, if we close below that by the end of the day, Friday today, then it'll likely probably spell some bullishness or very muted trading for crypto over the weekend. So Bitcoin, although we had all that volatility yesterday, I mean, we basically deviated yesterday morning outside of the range and came right back into the range. Very similar to what we did on the 21st, but much more exacerbated. So very interestingly enough, we're right back in the same range. And if you recall last week, if you recall early in the week, we were stuck in this range for pretty much the majority of the week. And if you remember last weekend, this was our range for the entire weekend. So I'm not really expecting any crazy bullishness or bearishness out of Bitcoin. Honestly, you know, in that analysis for equities, we could just ping pong around in here. You know, we have to get above 16.9 for bullishness. We have to have a confirmed break below 16.7 for bearishness. And Bitcoin really seems to like 16.7 to 16.9 with, you know, some deviation beneath to tag 16.7 in between. So, you know, the real confirmation is this is the high. And really, you know, in my opinion, I guess this is the low. I say I guess because we've got a lot of trading between these two areas. So there's really no true confirmed bearishness until we close beneath 16.3. But I think the key range for the weekend is going to be 16.8, 16.9 with potential tags to 16.7. And if we firmly get up under 16.7 with, you know, multiple hours worth of confirmation, then we can start talking about more bearishness. But basically, you've got a mini range inside of a larger range, and you've got deviation in and out of the range. So the range is pretty tight. We know our levels. You got to play it level to level. You know, and we could plausibly break higher, but I'm waiting for these triggers because of how confusing this landscape is. PCE is a nothing burger. Sentiment's bearish. Everyone and their mother is calling for, you know, bearish equities. We had, you know, some insane volatility on crypto yesterday, washed out a lot of leverage. And we're going into a holiday weekend where we're going to have an extended weekend due to, Monday being closed. So looking at all this, it doesn't really look to me like we're going to see insane price action or life-changing price action. We're probably likely to keep the status quo at least until the end, or at least until early next week. And that is my current outlook for Bitcoin. So, very similar to ETH, broken above, or traded slightly above this range, but we've still, basically been corralled under 1220 for the majority of the week. We obviously had that insane volatility yesterday, and then we're trading right back to where we were for Monday through, part of Thursday. So moral of the story here is break above 1220, confirm that, and you've got a strong chance to go to 1250. And of course, Ethereum is moving a little bit better than Bitcoin. It's moving, in a bit of a northern pattern. It's moving higher, rather than just being stuck in an ugly range like Bitcoin. So, ETH definitely has more of a chance to bust out of that range, but we need to firmly close above 1220, and we kind of really need to firmly close above 1225 in addition to that to be able to actually spring load and get to 1250. And then this previous daily close, it's been basically a magnet, and so it's right at exactly 1217, 1218. So I have a feeling we're going to hover around this until some sort of decision is made, which would be a break higher or a break lower. And of course, we would expect 1200 to act as supports if we do break lower, to potentially just kind of stay in this range with potential couple pokes out. Maybe we drift higher, and it's basically just a really ugly ping pong range that we just continue to go this way until Sunday and before some sort of break up or lower. That's also positive as well. Bitcoin has been ranging, just flatlining, and ETH has been more or less kind of increasing day over day. Very slight increases, but increases nonetheless. As we can see from, let's see, Monday low to now, it's still up 1%, which is more than we can say for Bitcoin. So definitely something to consider there if it can firmly get above that 1220 and 1225 for a strong confirmation. I will say, stock RSI fully reset, RSI not fully reset, but did not, grow to be fully, overbought. So, no real signal on this side of things, but RSI support really does like that 48 level, as you can see here from this. And then of course we have the deviation. So definitely something to look out for. I told the Trade the Chain community, I'm leaning towards potential bullishness, but based on what we've seen over the weekend, it should likely be more or less flat. But there's definitely a chance to head higher, I think, potentially into the end of the day Friday, or potentially a creep higher over the weekend, if we can get above those core levels, 1220 being the level for ETH and 16.9 being the level for Bitcoin. But of course, like with equities, staying above the previous daily close is definitely a positive, no matter what asset you are talking about, whether it's DXY, whether it's equities, whether it's Bitcoin, or whether it's Ethereum. So just really quickly, next week's big updates for the week, we really don't have much. Chicago PMI will definitely be interesting, considering that's a inflation metric. Home sales will be interesting. Of course, Monday is the holiday. And then we'll get, jobless claims, which we get every week. So nothing really crazy heading into next week, which is why, I think, bullishness is a little bit more plausible. If we don't really have bad news and selling is, starting to, there's less selling momentum, it's possible. I'm not really betting in either direction. I will say I don't have any trades open. I'm not very much interested in this. If I did have a trade, I think I would probably place a small long, just judging by the strength off of the lows yesterday and the fact that we're still above yesterday's close, after PCE. So that's my current opinion, but I don't think we're going to see, massive volatility that's going to melt faces or it's going to change lives, unless we get strong follow through for these resistance levels that I lined out. So good luck. Happy trading. I'll probably talk to everybody on Tuesday. We may do a Monday show depending on how futures and markets play out, because of course crypto is 24/7. It's not going to slow down for Christmas at all. Volume might, but the markets will still be chugging. So we will probably see you on Monday, if not Tuesday. And if you read our content, the newsletter will definitely come out on Tuesday. But we will definitely see all of you in the Trade the Chain community throughout the weekend, early next week, and we will do our best to get video content out there early next week as well. So good luck, happy trading, and have a very safe and happy holiday to all of those around the world who celebrate.